Hey, folks, and welcome to another episode of Reaction Bite Radio with your host, Kevin Postaway, and your co host,
Julie Price. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please remember to hit that like button, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us.
Yep. And we are here today with our friend Dustin Dennis, who runs the Fishers of Men Tournament Trail and it's one division of the Ohio River Challenge Trail. So, Dustin, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Good. How are things going?
They're going good. We've had a hard winter. It seems like it's been forever, but then all of a sudden spring's decided to show itself for the last week or so and kind of got everybody antsy getting them on the water. I'm refraining as hard as possible to get the boat out because I know it's not here to stay for a long period, but I'm definitely excited to get back out on the water here real soon.
We went to Tennessee over the weekend and it was so nice. The dogwoods were blooming, the forsythia, the serviceberry, which now I have a really cool, interesting thing I need to tell about the serviceberry tree.
Oh, yeah.
They call it shadberry down there. And when the serviceberry tree blooms, and they call it shadberry because that's when the shad go up the river to spawn.
No kidding.
Yeah, I never knew that.
So what's funny about that is I was told years ago here locally in West Virginia, and it also is true in southern states, when the dogwood is blooming, that's when your bass start to pull up on beds and to start paying attention to that pre-spawn to spawn transition. And when I fish Stonewall a lot, I've kind of trended and noticed that over the years.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny how everybody's always told something was, when the dogwood blooms, it's time to start using top water.
Oh,
So,
no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin's talked about the dogwood, but until we were arguing, well, not arguing, but he was like, "Is that Bradford pear blooming?" And I said, "No, it's not shaped." I said, "I think it's serviceberry." So then I looked up serviceberry, went down the rabbit hole of the shadberry, and then I was like, "That's really interesting."
That is.
But it is spring down there, and it was so nice. We didn't catch very many fish, but it was nice.
It was nice. We got a Bass Nation tournament down there, the regional.
You asked me before we started if we had any trips planned, and we went down there to pre-fish. I think we're going to go back in a week or two because we've never been on that lake.
Yeah.
And
what lake is that? Douglas?
Cherokee.
Cherokee.
Yeah.
I hear
which
that's
is right
a good
next
lake.
to Douglas. Yeah. It's it looks like Summersville and fish is different than Summersville, but it's
we didn't know what we were doing.
we didn't know what we were doing. But we sort of figured something out at the end, but
We did?
Good.
a little bit.
I didn't.
Well,
I did not. I didn't know we figured something out.
oh, well, yeah. I mean, we caught twice as many fish as we did the day before. We caught 2 the first day and 4 the second.
Kevin was loading the boat, and I'm a hunter gatherer, so it's still a winter pool, and just the gravel and red clay and sand, and I was walking the lake bank and found a crankbait, and I was like, "Oh, that's what I want to do. I just want to go hunting for stuff."
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
So yeah, I think everybody's itching, and I know that what is it? Some of the bass clubs that fish out of state have already had some of their first tournaments. I know one went to Norman, I think. So
Yep.
people are ready to go. It's time. We're all ready to get this party started. So
absolutely.
So tell us about what you've got going on with the challenge and Fishers of Men.
Well, Fishers of Men, I'm the director of West Virginia. We do 6 events. We decided as a trail several years ago to minimize the amount of weekends we're taking away from our families and possible other trails. So we pick 3 weekends out of the year and schedule to do 6 events. And because we are a Christian-based organization, we do not fish Sundays. The ultimate goal is to bring everybody together doing what we love to do, and that's the passion of fishing. And I do a devotion and try to let them hear the word of God. So we fish Fridays and Saturdays, and as a trail of about 25 teams in our smaller division, that's what we enjoy. So we have 6 events. The first 2 this year are actually at Stonewall, May 22nd and 23rd. Typically, we would have already done one at Smith Mountain or Lake Anna this time of the year, right now. But because of overlapping with some of our trail members with sports and then nationals with Fishers of Men coming up. We decided, or I decided, I should say, to not do any tournaments at this time of the year. And looking back now at the weather we've had in the last month and a half, I'm really glad I didn't do that. I actually had to cancel our first event and reschedule it, and it would have fell during that monsoon of a storm we had. So it turned out good.
Ooh.
Our other events are July 31st and August 1st at Juanita La Mocha. That's a really good lake up in New York. It's kind of south central of New York State, and it's has a very excelling population of largemouth and smallmouth. And then the last event is our trail favorite. It's on Chautauqua Lake on the western side of New York, and it's August 7th and 8th. And that lake is we have seen some monster bags come out of that lake of both smallmouth and largemouth over the years. And we always do it in August because generally August anywhere else in our region is miserable to fish, quite truthfully. And when you can go to
Yeah.
that lake and on a bad day still catch 10 to 12 pounds, it's fun to do. And there's a lot of potential for a 22 to 26-pound bag of either largemouth or smallmouth, as our scales have proven. So it's a
Wow.
great time.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Julie and I certainly plan to fish that this year. I think we've already got at least one
Yeah,
campsite.
we need to. We keep
Campsite
saying we already got our campsite for the first one
in New York.
in New York, and then
Second.
we were gonna like either fish one of the other Finger Lakes up there, or I don't know, but we're gonna move after the first one and go some closer to the
Well,
one the next week and stay the whole week.
I really struggled putting them back to back. I don't like doing that. That's hard on my lifestyle with my family of having 4 kids, and I know it's hard with everyone else, especially with businesses. But honest to God, I was running out of weekends that didn't overlap. Bass Nation or TBF or the Marshall Trail, or there are so many trails I try not to overlap that. There's guys in our crew that do. Plus, if I go too far in August, a lot of our members are coaches with football and stuff like that. So they say to me, or 4-H, please don't go past the second week of August. And then July, I try to never do a tournament in the middle or beginning of July because of family vacations. Not only for myself, but for other family members. So I was running out of time and I had to staff them too. And I did have one team tell me that they're unable to do both of them, and I'm very disappointed that I wasn't able to make that happen. But I encouraged everybody, up in that area, there is about 10 lakes that are
Mhm.
honestly, they're world-class fisheries for largemouth and smallmouth. They really are. And I'm not telling you you can't go and bang out one of these lakes for a full week, but if you're going to stay there for a full week, go to one of these other lakes 15, 20, 30 minutes away and enjoy yourself and enjoy a true quality region of fishing. Any one of these lakes is covered with docks and grass and ledges and drop-offs, and catching a 20-pound bag on, I'm going to say, 80% of the New York lakes, a lot of times doesn't get you in the top 5 in a normal tournament. It's that good of a fishery in that state.
Yeah, it's amazing. We definitely plan on making a vacation of it and fishing around up there and just
Yeah, I didn't know if there
kind
was any off limits or anything.
No,
Was that
ma'am.
I don't think so.
No, ma'am. In the trail division that I'm at, we do not have any off limits other than after 5 p.m. The night before the tournament.
okay?
I don't utilize the off limits. My opinion on that is if you want to go out the day before because you can only get up there the day before the tournament because the work schedule, go for it. Now, in the championship, there is an off limits, no information period, and then an official practice. At the qualifiers, there is an off limits period and then an official practice. But as the actual trail itself, there is not an off limits.
So how does that work with? Because this is our first year fishing Fishers of Men. So how does the qualifiers and the championships work?
Well, the championship is always typically March of the following year. Like they kind of follow the Bassmasters Classic schedule. You go to the Fishers of Men Trail website and you join as a team. You can either join if you're not a family or a spouse or relative. You join a single membership of $40. If you are a family, an uncle, an aunt, a son, a daughter, a husband, a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, you can join as a team, which is 60, and then you're good to fish any Fishers of Men tournament in the whole country, however many of them you want. To make
Wow.
it to a qualifier, if you fish 3 tournaments in our region, which is an eastern region, there's 4 to 5 qualifiers that now you are qualified for. If you fish 5 tournaments anywhere in Fishers of Men, you can go to any qualifier in the country or however many you want to go to try to qualify. And some guys do just pick and choose. Like I have a team that comes up from actually North Carolina. Every year they fish my Stonewall because he used to live here. Then they go and fish something in the Potomac. Then they drop down and fish like Kerr Lake, and they pick them as vacation destinations to get all 3 of their events done.
Hmm.
So it's kind of cool that way. Now there are contingencies to make it to the championship as a team in a qualifier. For an example, y'all are a male female team. If you are a registered male female team in the trail, you go to a qualifier. The highest placing male female team at that qualifier gets a seat to the national championship. So if you guys, let's say you go to the James River qualifier and you're the only team that is a male female, y'all just need to show up for blast off and you qualified.
Wow.
Um, the other contingency is an adult minor. If you register at the beginning of the year and your minor in the boat is under 18 at the time of registration, they could turn 18 a week into it. But at the time of registration, if they are under 18, that's the same contingency, the highest placing adult minor. Also, the contingency, the highest placing Mercury Motors operator. It does not have to be a new one. It can be 40 years old or it can be an hour old. But as long as you own the motor, that contingency is in place. And new for this year is we are now sponsored by Falcon Boats. So if you have a Falcon boat at a qualifier and you are the highest placing Falcon boat at a dealer or at a qualifier, you earn a seat to the national championship as well. Outside
Cool.
of those contingencies, the top 20% of every qualifier gets to move on to nationals. As far
Oh,
as
well.
my trail, whoever wins points of the year gets an automatic berth to the national championship. So that's how you get to the
Okay.
championship. It's a 3-day event. And they give out 2 boats and a lot of money.
Wow.
So there's no qualifier with this trail with the 6 tournaments, like in West Virginia.
No, there's just
No, not
Okay.
in
no
West
no
Virginia.
championship or
No.
anything.
Um,
Okay.
I have thought about trying to set up at a qualifying event, possibly at Stonewall, but that's down the road in a year or 2. But
Right.
no, I haven't looked at the website where all the qualifiers are, but typically they do one on the James River. There is one up in New Hampshire or Maine this year I saw, because we
Wow.
have a division up in Maine that has a pretty good crowd, and then the New York division is on the eastern side of New York, so they're kind of in that region. But yeah, they pick 4 of them in the eastern region area. I think Murray or Norman is sometimes on the list. The St. James, the Potomac was there last year, so places like that. But there's probably 15 qualifiers on the website, depending where you would want to choose and go. So that's what makes it fun. Like I went to St. Clair 2 years in a row because I wanted to go there, and that gave me an excuse. And I went there and had a good time and qualified throwing a crankbait for
Yeah.
2 days. So
So you went to nationals?
I've been to nationals, yes. 4 out of 5 years that I opted to try to go. Yes, ma'am.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, I'm planning on going.
Yeah, that's definitely.
It's fun.
We
It it
definitely
it
plan to go.
truly is a really cool experience.
Nice. Yeah, we look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of good things about the Fishers of Men tournament trail, so
Yeah.
we're definitely
It
excited to do it.
my division's a smaller division. I lost 2 teams this year because of schedule conflicting. That have been with me from day one, and it breaks my heart. But we still have a friendship, and they might try to pop in at 1 or 2 events, but they just can't do them all. But I did gain 4 or 5 other teams, including yourself. So I believe I have roughly 25 to 30 boats that are going to follow this year, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but the payouts are really good. I have to follow a national payout scale that is public, and everybody gets to see it. But like on our Stonewall events, typically first place takes home anywhere between $1,500 to $1,700 for first place,
Wow.
and we pay out the top 20% of however many boats are there each day. So it's decent
Cool.
payouts for as small as it is.
Have
Yeah.
you registered for any of the tournaments?
I registered us for the thing, but I don't think I've registered for a
Okay.
tournament yet.
So when you go to register for the qualifiers, how do they know that you have fished enough qualifying events in your region?
So I have to run everything through a system that is a corporate system with Fishers of Men because it's a national corporate trail. At the end of the tournament, I have to put everything into a system. I can't alter anything. It all
Right.
goes into a system, and they put it all together, and it'll tell you that Kevin and Julie have fished 4 events, or Kevin and Julie have fished
Okay.
2, and it'll tell, and then it'll also tell what your weights were, where your points are, if you win any money, and then you get a 1099 at the end of the year. If
Okay.
you win any money. So
Right.
they keep track of all of that.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Well, anyway, new things. I like all the answers. and
No,
then
absolutely. I'm
and
enjoying
then
the answers.
Kevin takes care of all that anyway. I'm like, did we register for that?
She asked the questions and she's like, "Did you do it?"
No,
I literally just show up. Like I don't.
you
Sometimes
can
I get my bait ready.
you can pay online. I recommend to everybody to just pay at the ramp cash because it's easier at the end of the day for me. And I can
Okay.
give you a receipt if you need that for write off in tournaments. Some people write their tournaments off. But you can go online to pay for tournaments in advance. I just encourage everybody to pay at the ramp if that's not a problem, and that's how most people pay. Then I
Okay.
just I give cash out instead of a check, so it works
Yeah.
Okay.
great.
Cool.
All right.
Well, we'll remember that.
Yes.
Pay at the ramp.
Yeah. Because Kevin was saying the other day we're going to have to sit and figure out which tournament to pay for. I mean, between booking campsites and Airbnbs and paying for tournaments with 3 different tournament trails so
Oh, yeah.
far, it's
It can get expensive,
yeah.
especially
It can,
if
and
gas goes crazy,
yeah,
which
with the
hopefully it
gas.
doesn't. From being you're part of 2 tournament organizations, I'm part of one as far as being on the board and or tournament director, whatever. The gas prices are scary for those of us hosting tournaments because we know that it can have a negative effect on participation, and a lot of people that are planning things are going to have to cut back and all that. So hopefully this all gets taken care of and gas settles back down. I certainly hope so. Anyway.
Me too. It affects everybody, that's for sure.
Yeah, I would hate that. So that's Fishers of Men, which sounds awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to going to New York and spend that week up there. That's going to be cool for us. We'll enjoy that.
It it
Well,
it it really is
I'll
fun.
enjoy it.
It's very fun. It's very challenging. It's a very competitive trail. The lakes are very good lakes typically that where the timing is great on them with Stonewall and all of that. So it's generally a very fun trail. There's normally a lot of fish weighed in, a lot of fish caught, and it's just really nice to get out and hear the word of God and do a prayer before we blast off and hear some devotions and some maybe things that are on people's hearts, and then go out and enjoy God's creation and win a little money on the side when it's all said and done if you catch a good bag of fish. So it's a cool gig.
Yeah, yeah. I look forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
yeah, I believe in God. And when we joined Fishers of Men, Kevin was like, "You're aware that's a religious organization?" And I was like, "Yes, yeah, the name kind of gives it away." And he was like, "Okay, well, you've been known to cuss like a sailor, so you're gonna have to not do that there."
Well, the Bible says that only God judges, and we all sin. We all can lose our patience. We all have our, skeletons in the closet. At the end of the day, it comes down to what your personal relationship is with the Lord and how you feel. And, you ask for forgiveness and you mean it from your heart. I mean, I'm not going to be the first to say I don't swear. I swear I do things I shouldn't do, and I'm human. And the Bible talks about sin and human, and all we can do is to push forward and to just be the best person that we can be. And don't judge anybody else, but put yourself on judgment with the Lord, and pursue what it takes to be a stronger Christian and keep that in your heart.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, well said.
I was just throwing that out there because Kevin was like, "You can, you
Be on good behavior.
don't good behavior."
so funny story. A couple years ago, I was on Stonewall and I'm going down to bank flipping, And I'm not going to mention his name, but when he watches this, he will laugh and probably end up commenting and go, "That was me." But there was another team on the other side of the lake going down through. And all of a sudden, I heard yelling and a bunch of very choice words. And I went, "Man, they must have lost a big one." And it was me and my partner were kind of laughing about it. Nick Houndus, we were laughing about it. I said, "They definitely, no one says that without losing a big one." And when we, at the end of the day, we came in, coincidentally, they actually won. They brought in like a really good bag of fish. Actually, I'll tell you, they brought in 21 pounds. You can look up who it was. He's not ashamed about it all. It was a big joke. I said, "Did you ask the Lord to forgive you after what you shouted?" He goes, "Man," he goes, "I lost one about 7 pounds." He said he came up and did this, and he said, if anybody wouldn't have said anything, they're lying to you. And it was just funny because it was like in the first 20 minutes of the tournament, and it just echoes up the whole hollow up there in Vandalia.
Oh my goodness, that's wild.
But yeah, it was kind of funny to hear that, at like 7:40 in the morning.
They'll break your heart.
They will. They break your line and they break your heart.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yes.
It is.
So before you start talking about the Ohio River Challenge, I mentioned this to you at the beginning. Will you send me a picture of your boat? Because we decided we're going to, everybody wants to see the boats. They recognize fishermen by their boats.
Absolutely.
And then I'm going to save the one bait question till the end. The Ohio River Challenge.
What's your schedule? Because if I remember right, the challenge is fairly summer heavy.
The schedule, I have it here, so I don't misinterpret it to anybody. We have 3 events in the South, 3 events in the North. I will be directing the South. Sean will be directing the North, and we are going to come together with the Bass Festival and the championship. But in the Southern Division, we have April 25th at Belpre, and then a June 27th event at Gallipolis, and then an August 15th event at Ravenswood. We actually hired a weigh team for this year to weigh fish in. So we're going to, they're going to know to take the fish out, to do everything in our power. There's 2 things at the end of a tournament we want to see. The first one is everybody comes home off the water safely and heads back to their families, their loved one, their friends. The second is to have the highest live fish release you can. We're not a national affiliation. We are a trail that has came together that Sean and Seven Rivers started, and there's no other place locally in the state of West Virginia or Ohio or Pennsylvania where you can pay $125 entry, work up to a championship, and be competing for $25,000 with 3 tournaments under your belt to qualify. So you're looking at $375 in tournament fees. Let's say another $500 in fuel. Let's just say that. $100. That takes you to $875. Let's say housing, if you come and stay a day, if you're out of town, like I live almost 2 hours away. But let's say when it's all said and done, you drop $1,500 a year to fish for $25,000. Show me where you can go do that in this state. It's not happening.
Cat yakers.
She's talking about another podcast we had with the catfishing tournament.
Well, okay,
they fish catfish.
I don't know anything about the catfishing side.
Yeah,
I've done a couple.
I was being smart aleck because they got a really good payout. But
yeah, my buddy, I got a really good friend, Joey Eddy. Him and I did a couple tournaments with the King Cat Trail years ago, and I enjoyed catfishing. It was fun. We actually cashed a check, believe it or not. It's all him, though. He's the catfish man. But no, you can always tell the true inner side of somebody when there's money involved in a competition. Money is the root of all evil.
The love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah, I'll agree with you with that. Money's fun. Let's face it. If you got money, you can buy boats, you can go on vacations, but it can stem a lot of evil. And in competitions, this is why you got people cheating. They just busted somebody in Texas putting tungsten in a fish.
You say I think I've never seen one of those used, but I think every organization should use
the wand. That's
the wand
because they thought the weigh-in team thought the fish were heavy for their size, so they ran the wand over it and beep beep beep.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's just awful.
It's sad
that you have to wand fish now.
Yeah, I've got one I can donate. It's Andrew's. He uses it underwater.
It's really sad that that it's hard to go into something we love to do, which is fishing, our passion, our obsession,
Mhm.
to do it on a competitive atmosphere, which we all drive to want to win, and that people are cheating. It's really, really sad
Yeah.
that this is becoming more and more. And as social media exploits it, I feel like it's growing more and more because the money, the kitties are getting larger, and people think,
Yeah.
that they're going to get away with it. And I know some do in some tournaments. We found baskets of Stonewall the last 2 years,
I
and
was gonna
stuff.
say
Sadly, it
everybody's seen
happens.
baskets.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens
I've seen
around
them.
here, and it drives me nuts. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, if there was ever a cheater found in one of our events, I say this very, very seriously. I will pray for that individual until the police show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
do.
It's
Like, that is the lowest of all lows in tournament settings, is cheating. Forward to the river every year. The river doesn't like me a lot of times, but I try to enjoy it. But
Okay, Mr. State Bass Team.
oh,
that's
I'll tell
canal.
you what, the
Right.
good Lord put me there. I got lucky on that one. I really did. It just
Do you remember the pep talk I gave you that morning when you were melting down?
melting down. Which morning was that?
That was the second morning you had like hit a duck and cut your hand and your trolling motor or something was broke and you were like freaking out.
You
And
were on you were on Will Diffenbach's boat giving me a screwdriver to help me fix my trolling motor.
yes, and I was
Yeah,
like,
I do remember.
you
I'm sorry. When you said morning, I thought at takeoff. I'm like, wait a minute. I was. Yeah, yeah. I was having a meltdown, a breakdown because I knew I had a chance, and my co-angler Gary Ross, who I've always wanted to fish with, it was weird. We drew each other, and I knew I was keeping him because my trolling motor got shattered from that duck running down the river. Hitting it, and I
I
was
did not
more
know you hit a
upset.
duck.
Oh, man, I smashed the duck to pieces.
That's awful.
he was like melting down.
Oh, well, that would do it. I mean, between hitting the duck and breaking your motor, like that's
And I
that's a
Yeah,
gave
bad
him
day.
well,
like the mom talk.
Oh, yeah, one of Julie's pep talks.
yeah, it was funny how that went. We raced up to the locks, got up there, went through the locks. I didn't go there on day one because of lock issues. I had a spot I wanted to fish up there that I had found 2 weeks prior because of the cutoff with both Bass Nation and the Ohio River. I wasn't able, along with, I'm gonna say,
Yeah,
a dozen other people, you were not able to be on the water. And I've never
right.
fished that river in my life. So I went down the last Sunday prior, 2 weeks prior, and I found a lot of fish in one area, um, throwing top water. And I told Gary Ross, I said, I got this spot, da 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 da. We got to get there. And when I came out of them locks, it was foggy, and I was running, and I was running safely. I could see everything, but I overshot my waypoint because I didn't have it marked correctly in my graph. I just threw a bunch of waypoints, and I missed an area. And I went, oh my goodness, I missed it. I missed it. Oh my goodness, someone's going to pull up in there now. Da 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 da. I was all worried about that. And I spun the boat around, and I'm coming back down through. And I was doing right around 62, 64 in that range because I knew which waypoint it was once I paused and turned around. And darn out of nowhere, this duck flies across, and I smash it on the trolling motor, and it busts the trolling motor. It flies and hits me in the face and busts my face. And I look at Gary and I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, are you okay? And I come down off plane and I'm like, whatever. So I'm actually almost to where I need to slow down. So I get up to my area, and there's another boat approaching this exact point, and he
Huh.
beat me to it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Then I watch him on his second cast catch like a 2-pound smallie. And that spun my head right out because when I stand up on the deck, I realize my trolling motor is shattered to pieces, and it's not working. Now I'm down a trolling motor. A guy beat me to the spot. I just watched him catch a smallmouth. So I'm spinning out. I'm upset. The wind starts picking up. So I say, man, I'm sorry, you guys. Actually, his name was Josh Workman. I said, Josh, buddy, you're here. I didn't see you. I go across the river to my second area, and there's where Miss Julie's coming on Will Diffenbach's boat at me. And they're catching fish in front of us. They're blowing up all around us, and I can't control the boat because I have no trolling motor. I'm fighting with the trolling motor, trying to give Gary on the back an opportunity to fish. And the trolling motor, I'm having to rewire the head, and I'm diagnosing everything. And the trolling motor slams down on my finger and basically almost shears the end of my
Oh,
finger off.
mm,
Took my nail
man.
right off. And
Oh,
I was frustrated. I was upset. I was really down. Will and Julie came closer, and he had a Phillips head screwdriver. For some reason, I had everything in my boat but a Phillips head, and I was able to rewire the head of the trolling motor and got it to work the rest of the day, and it worked out. But yeah, I was at a pretty all-time low that morning for about an hour and a half. It was pretty bothersome, but
Yeah.
My pep talk didn't make you feel better?
it did. It did. I don't remember the words exactly, but I remember you talking to me and telling me to make the best of it. And
I think I was like, have you given up already? It's like 7:30 in the morning. Like, you wrap your finger up, put some super glue on it, and start fishing.
well, it
Probably
wasn't
something to
it,
that
it wasn't
effect.
my finger that was prohibiting me so much. It was the fact I had no trolling motor working.
I know,
Yeah.
but you were spinning out real bad. You were like, ah! And when you say they were busting all around us and we were catching them, they were like 8 inches.
But it was still something. It was
Yeah.
still the
Yeah.
fish
Yeah.
were there, the bait was there. It was early
Yeah.
morning,
Yeah.
I
and
didn't catch a fish that day, so a
well, that's
keeper.
depressing.
Yeah, it was. It really was. But
But
you'll have days like that on the back of a bass boat.
Yeah. You did.
yeah,
Or on the front.
but yeah, the trolling motor, it kept cutting out throughout the whole tournament. Like I'd have to, like
Yeah.
I found out that there was another damage. So even though I wired it up, I had to like bend the wire a certain way to hold tension because down inside the shaft it got jacked up.
Yeah.
So there
Wow.
was times where like I'm trying to go down and then the trolling motor quits and I got to sit there and shake it and get it to work again. It made it more stressful than anything. And honest to God, I'm more aggravated that I kept Gary Ross from potentially making the state team and he had a chance. And I truly believe if I didn't have any issues in the first 2 hours of the tournament, I really think he could have got that one more fish he needed to have gotten there because
I'll tell you.
that we were around a lot of fish and that first stop that I overshot, if I didn't overshoot that, we probably would have caught a few right there. And it
I'll
just
tell
I
you.
don't know, just that's just the way it went down. And
Things happen and they happen for a reason. I'll tell you that. And I've been, co-angler several times in some big tournaments, and crazy stuff happens. And that's part of, I've been with people when the boat breaks down, never had any issue, brand new motors a lot of times, and just something crazy happens. One time we got stuck in the fork of two trees, had to wait for a duck boat to pull us.
oh my god.
This is a pro angler, and he was so mad, but it was hilarious. I mean, it's stuck, just stuck, and you just never know. You just crazy stuff happens, and it was.
My favorite story is the time there was a DNR boat blocking up the river.
Oh gosh, you have to tell this story.
To ask what was going on.
It was on the canal, and the river was flowing like crazy.
Float and ran into their boat.
It didn't hurt their boat; it hurt mine.
And over and over. They were so
They
mad.
were mad. They were not happy. Of course, they had the big metal boat and my fiberglass. I still have 3 marks in the back of my boat where I hit their boat 3 times.
Oh my goodness.
It was awful.
It was funny.
It's funny for you. It was not funny for them or me.
Most of the time when things are funny for me, they're not for other people.
And that's true. It was awful. They thought, man, this guy is an idiot.
They
Which fair enough.
face
Well, it's true. I got completely messed up and just couldn't recover.
that was funny. Not as funny as getting stuck in the fork of a tree.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh my goodness. I got
yeah.
stuck in Stonewall once on top of some trees up in the West Fork, and I was hung up pretty bad in my old boat. And I kicked it in reverse and hammered the throttle, and it came off. And darn if the kicking in reverse, I didn't slam into another stump and then busted my lower unit. So yeah, that's how that
Oh.
ended. But
Yeah, stumps are bad. They do a lot of stumps and ducks.
ducks, yeah.
Tell you. So later in the day, Will and I were fishing right across from an island, and there was a dead duck laying there. And I said, I wonder if that's Dustin's duck.
It probably
Probably
was. I mean,
was.
the amount of feathers that blew up on that deck. I mean, I had I had duck sauce with feathers like stuck on the deck
Ugh,
all day,
Yeah,
and
there was a dead duck laying
yeah,
well,
and
probably.
floating.
Probably not a coincidence.
Probably
I mean,
not.
it was duck season, so I was well within my legal boundaries,
I mean, does the roadkill bill count on water?
I'll tell
You
you.
know, I
I've not hit
contacted
a
my
bird yet.
insurance company about replacing the trolling motor, and when he asked what
Yeah.
happened, and I told him I hit a duck, I really still to this day don't think he believes me.
Probably
And
not.
uh,
He
and I
probably
ended
thinks you're
up
a smart aleck.
I ended up just actually repairing it myself. I bought the parts and repaired it myself, but put a
Mm.
new head and everything on it. I just decided not to go through the insurance. It was yeah, that was an ordeal. That was a moment. That was a story, that was for sure.
That is a story. Yep. Not what I was with a guy and he hit a what was that thing? Cormorant.
Oh my
Aw.
goodness.
Yeah, cormorant.
I'm the only person on the water that loves those birds. I think they're so pretty.
Those things are the ugliest birds.
Nasty.
They're not
Nasty.
ugly.
They're so gross,
You
but
never touched one. You call them greasy. I don't think they're greasy.
I guarantee you they're greasy. Look at them.
They
Yeah.
disgusting. They stink.
They do stink. They smell so bad.
You find a big you
Yeah,
find a big flock of them where they like roost all the time, and oh my goodness, it's just
yeah,
disgusting.
I don't believe it.
yeah. You're too nice.
I like them.
Gosh, I don't like.
I like buzzards too, though.
Well, there you
Really?
go.
A buzzard?
Yes. Yes. They're just being buzzards. You imagine,
Just being
you
buzzers.
imagine how disgusting the earth would be if, like, those birds weren't eating stuff?
Oh.
Well, those birds are fairly disgusting too. So
Well, they don't have the feathers on their head to absorb all the stink from. Anyway, all right. Anything else we want to talk about? Need to talk about?
Whatever
don't
you
know.
wanna
We've
talk
covered a
about,
lot.
I'm good.
Okay, so if everybody that comes on the show has to answer this, if you had to fish with one lure, one color for the
Ooh.
rest of your life, what's it going to be?
One lure, one color,
Yep.
rest of
One
my
thing.
life.
Rest of
If
your
I
life. That's
if I
all you've got.
answer it from what would be the most universal, that's gonna be a whole different answer than what I passionately love to do.
No, it's going to be, period. It's all you're allowed to fish with. That's it. That's the only thing you get to fish with.
I'm gonna
This
have to
stumps a lot of
say
people.
I'm gonna have to say a white and gold bladed buzz bait is what I'm gonna have to say.
Is that our first buzz bait?
I think so.
A white
I
and
think so.
gold bladed buzz bait.
Okay.
Yeah.
One that my buddy's company with County Line Custom Tackle makes. It'd have to be one of them because I love that top water bite. I love a buzz bait. I can fish it. I can crawl it. I can burn it. I can pull it over wood, grass, rock banks. It's produced so many fish for me over the years in every location of body of water I've ever been to.
Okay.
There you go.
I believe that's our first buzz bait.
I think so.
I said I was going to keep a graph, but I haven't.
I know. There've been a lot of different ones. It's really surprising.
Yeah, we've got, I can't even remember now.
Yeah, bunch of different ones.
And then we do our live shows, and that don't ask them then. So it's
Yeah.
getting, we're not doing any more live shows though because we can't get the sound right and it sucks.
No,
Yeah, it's really
really?
tough. Yeah, live is tough.
Yeah, I don't
You
like
almost
it.
have
I
to
don't
have somebody come to your studio, don't you?
Yeah, if you're gonna do something
Well,
live,
we do a live at like the hunting and fishing show, and we went to Ferguson's. It's just,
Ferguson's was the
it
easiest
was the
because it
easiest.
was
We
not.
finally figured it out. But then we went last weekend to Flatwoods and we couldn't get the sound right. But the hunting and fishing show, that sound was horrible. If I would have known how bad those videos were, I wouldn't have.
Just so many people and
Yeah, it was
it's
just,
always just
yeah, I like this because, when I'm editing it, I can adjust the sound and make it sound good. And I really like that. I like them more polished. But anyway, I said I was going to keep a graph. So at the end of the year, I can go over what the most popular baits of our interviewees were. And there have not been any duplicates.
no, maybe one. I think two people said jig.
A jig?
I think
I
jig.
I would have had a close second with another bait that I'm sure nobody has said, but if I truly just had to do one thing the rest of my life, it would probably be wing a buzzbait.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had Ned rigs.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Spinnerbait, buzzbait.
Oh, Ned rig.
Oh.
They catch fish.
They do.
They-
I throw them. I'm not gonna lie. I throw them a lot. But man, it's one of those baits when it first came out, I didn't understand it. It's kind of like these fuzzy balls, but the fish eat them, man. They do.
yeah, they eat
They
them.
eat them.
They look so little. I bought some, but
Oh, those fuzzy dice.
yeah,
Yeah, they eat
There's
them.
different sizes.
Yeah, there's all kinds of them.
I started using them last year, and I've caught fish on several bodies of water. I've caught them on the Ohio River. I've caught them at Stonewall. I've caught them up north, and they work. I've tried them on wacky rigs and drop shots. They say it's supposed to look like some kind of plankton in the water that has gotten extremely large, and that when the fish were juveniles, they were eating the small ones. And I don't know. I mean, if I saw something like that swimming at me and I'm in the water, like I would probably run away from it. But it
well,
works. I don't know if it's just something different or what, but they truly work. I can testify to that firsthand.
Someone told me one time bass will really eat about anything, which I think is
I
true.
I
You
I
know,
I know 100% they will eat just about anything. I've literally watched guys flick cigarettes off of a boat into the water, and a little bass rises up and sits there and then pops it, the butt.
yeah,
But
it's probably because they want the nicotine. I still don't know if I believe that color matters at all in water.
I think it does.
here
I mean, I know it does.
I
Certain
know it
times of year,
does.
especially.
Yep.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah, it does.
you can't tell me.
Because sometimes they're feeding on a very specific thing, and that's
Yep.
the color they want, and that's the reason you catch them on.
Throwing deep, they can't see that.
So
They,
Kevin Van Dam went to school to be a fisheries biologist with a concentration of the bass. And I've followed KVD my whole life. And he said it, he made a very strong statement, his observations over the years is in clear water, color can make a difference if they're foraging heavy on one specific type of food source. And stained water, it doesn't really make a big difference. You just want something contrasting. And I'll never forget this. This is when I realized how much color made a difference. My buddy and I was up in Erie, I don't know, about 15 years ago, and we're fishing a big flat, and there's staging smallies everywhere trying to spawn. We were up in Buffalo, and you could see them with your naked eye. I'm talking literally. I, I'm going to estimate at least 100 of them in front of us with our naked eye,
Wow.
and they're not on beds. They're just sitting there staging. And we're throwing everything. And you get one here and there. And we're throwing tubes. We're throwing drop shots. We were throwing this, jerk baits. And you catch one. And we were realizing when you throw a tube out near them and you drag it, they were kind of like moving away. So my partner had all these different color tubes, and he gets this one out that had orange flake and black flake on a real light, almost like a melon color tube. And he puts that on and he throws it out there, and he's dragging it, and wham, one smacks it, gets it in nice quality, average 3.5, 4 pound smallmouth. I kid you not, Julie, Kevin. I watched him for about 20 some casts in a row catching these bass on this tube. And I'm right there next to him throwing with a different tube, and I can't get bit. I
Hmm.
put one of his on, and we're catching him. Well, here was the funny thing. He only had 4 left in that pack.
Oh,
We're
wow.
up there for a 2-day vacation. That afternoon, we ran out, docked the boat at the small harbor, ran to all the Dick's Sporting Goods everywhere around to try to match that tube, and found 2 packs by X Zone that were close. Went back, and that right there caught them fish. And that right there told me color was everything. And I think on clear water days, having that flake or having something that matches, and looking back at it now, it looks a goby has a lot of orangey flake in it. And I
Yep.
Yeah.
think that's what it was mimicking, was a goby. And
Yeah.
I think in clear water, color plays an enormous role with fish on a
In
on a
clear,
very slow
shallow water.
presentation.
But if you're throwing, 40 fishing 40, 50 feet deep, I don't believe it.
Well, they say that
I don't know.
oranges and reds are the first color to go out of the water column, and your blues and greens last the longest. But like, I don't get into the whole color thing. Like, I have some soft plastics that have flake in it for clear water, fishing up in New York and stuff. But when
Mm.
it comes to a moving bait, I'm simple. I keep it like blue green pumpkin to mimic bluegill. I'll use maybe a perch pattern up north on a moving bait, like a perch jerk bait or a perch crankbait up north on like St. Lawrence or any of those northern lakes. But for like spinner baits and buzz baits and crank baits, I try to stay with a green hue or a white because to me that's the most natural color. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
everything
get into
looks like a
all
fish.
these other colors, but that's just me. Maybe that's why I don't cash checks on the river because I'm doing it all wrong. But
You made the state team of Bass Nation. You're not allowed to say that. It's the same
yeah,
as cashing a check. I mean, it's kind of better than cashing a check.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little nervous about Hartwell. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm a little nervous. What I'm most aggravated about, and I talked to Lyle last week about it, I actually was going to back out and give up my position
Why?
Yeah.
because my family has a farm in northwestern Missouri, and I go out there every year to deer hunt, and I take the grandkids and we hunt. And it literally falls in the whole week of Missouri rifle season.
Oh,
So
Mm.
I will not get to rifle hunt Missouri. And that's
Mm.
why I was going to back out. And I decided I'm going to try to take a trip with the kids out on the youth. There's a 2-day youth at Halloween. I'm going to try to take them out. And then I'll just either go back for late muzzleloader or I'll bow hunt it. But no, I was going to back out because of that. But I've been to Hartwell with Fishermen Nationals. It was fun. Actually, you
yeah.
want to hear this? Hartwell every out of I think it was 211 teams at nationals at Hartwell, every team weighed in a limit.
I
You
can see that.
Wow.
think of that for a minute.
Yeah, I can
It
believe
is
that.
a
Think
fun
how
lake.
long
It's
that
also
weigh-in would take.
challenging. You
Yeah.
know, it's you're now you talk about color. I'm not no Hartwell pro. I went there. I did okay. I held my own. I just missed a check um on it, but I caught a lot of fish. Actually Seven Rivers and them cashed a check on it. They were there. Tyler and Jonathan. But I threw a crankbait a lot there, and everything is herring base for the most part there. I think on because it's clear water on the majority of that lake, matching a herring pattern, like I was throwing dredger 14 fives and 17 fives I bought from Doug and a blueback herring, and I caught an enormous amount of spotted bass and both largemouth with that there. It was good. It was fun times. Hartwell will be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fish in there. They pull up on these points and you just see them laying there. It's crazy. Crazy amount.
Well, my phone is about on 4% from 89, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll wrap it up. Yeah. Thanks a bunch. It's been good. We
I enjoyed
enjoyed
the
talking to you.
conversation. I really
Yeah.
did.